I'm in North London, and we are joined today on the second Resilience Sessions. Resilience meaning how can we be more resilient when it comes to the issues of food? How can we flex? How can we deal with the pressures that are being applied to the food systems and make our planet more resilient? We're joined by Natacha from New York, Natacha Gomez, fabulous chef, massive contributor to Chefs Manifesto, and Natasha is going to be talking about corn. Hi Natasha, welcome, welcome.
Sorry, sound issues with Natasha. Natasha, I'm asking to unmute you. You might need to push a button if that's okay. There we go.
Hi Natasha, I wonder if you can hear me. I want to introduce you again. Natacha Gomez in New York. How are you? Can you say hello and talk about corn?
Hi Arthur, I'm so happy to be here today on behalf of Chef Manifesto. Also, you know, we love to talk about food, and what better time also to talk about corn, the wonderful corn, and about how corn is very resilient.
Natasha, I'm so jealous. Your corn is so much bigger than my corn.
They are US corn, and they are organic, by the way, because most of the time I cook with organic product, and I find them, I don't know, my love of organic, they are sweeter. Sometimes they are smaller too, because they don't use any pesticide, but it's really good.
Natasha, quickly then, as we start, we're going to talk for 15 minutes about your ingredient and why it's resilient. But interesting that you say organic almost immediately. Would you say, from your perspective, that organic makes the ingredient that you've chosen, corn, more resilient? Or what makes your ingredient so resilient?
Okay, I think being organic first, we first as authentic, because that's the way the first native used to plant corn. And corn, now we're talking about climate change. We saw like we have a lot more of hurricanes. People are more aware of what's going on around the world. And we trying as chefs to join the conversation and help them choose ingredients by helping the farmers also. Because corn been around for 7,000 years, and there's like tons of way from Mexico to the Caribbean to the US to use corn. And I think in Mexico alone, they have 600 recipes of cooking corn. Corn is not only cultural, but it's a matter of survival for some people also. Why I say corn is very resilient, because through our history, corn always been there. When there's drought, when there's hurricane, when there's famine, how we say it, because you can store it very well, it can travel a long way without getting spoiled. And even certain recipes that we have can stay a long time without getting rotten, like we said.
So I mean, you've got cornbread, you've got corn syrup, you've got popcorn, you've got corn. I mean, there's so many different recipes. But tell me, your background, Natasha, you're from Haiti, so you're from the Caribbean. Can you tell us a little bit about your history, maybe some recipes from your grandmother? How have you learned about food, and how have you built resilience and fresh food into your life?
Okay, I've been born in the modern term, like a foodie family. We always had restaurant in Haiti, and before restaurant, my grandmother used to have like those houses where you can, they send young girls to study in the town, like because the people out of town, they couldn't travel far. So it was the small Airbnb, we could say. And in my family, food was always the way to put smile on someone's face, because I'm part of big families, and food always connect us, and it's like someone was coming in and they were calling me on the phone. Oh, someone is coming today. Are you coming too? And before you know it, from 2 to 20 people, you have a party. I always say you don't have to invite people at party at my house. Just say you're cooking food, and you will have people. So food is a big part of our history also, because from the native Indian, the Taino, they use corn in many different ways, because when we say grilled corn, we have to think about the Taino, because the word barbecue comes from the Taino. So it's the first Native American. So we owe them all that. And when I started cooking, I said, I'm not going to talk about the new cuisine, but really find what is authentic and put it, use new techniques, infuse new flavor, and present it in other way. Because sometimes food are authentic, but it's not really pleasing to the eyes. It's only when you taste it to say, oh, this is good. But when you look at it, you might not be squeamish about tasting it. So that's how corn, I say, let's use corn, because you find it everywhere. And in various forms, like the flour, even if you can have fresh corn,
Coming to flour, yeah.
Yes, even you can have fresh corn, you can have it canned. So it's something very available, and it's very cheap also. So in that term also, we can say that corn is resilient and sustainable, because it's affordable for people to have good food.
I'd like to say just now, for the people that have joined us, welcome everybody to the Chefs Manifesto Resilience Sessions hosted by Omved Gardens. Natacha Gomez is running us through corn, the ingredient that she's chosen to be her resilient ingredient. And Natasha wanted to ask a number of the questions from me, but if anybody as a guest would like to ask a question, just drop down into the chat box at the bottom of your screen. Ask a question. What do you want to know about corn? Or what do you want to know about how the Caribbeans use corn, or how the South Americans use corn? Because Natasha's got some amazing history, but she's in New York, and she's got some beautiful organic corn there, which is twice the size of the corn I've got here. This is organic, but I think it's Spanish. The British grow corn, but you know, we don't quite have the sunshine for it. Do you think sunshine makes corn sweeter, Natasha?
Excuse me, I didn't get your question. Did I think that?
Corn is made sweeter by the sun.
Excuse me? Corn is made sweeter because we're having, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I have Elena R. She's saying, as an American living in the United Kingdom, I just don't eat corn here in the UK. Sorry, it needs heat. So just like you say, Natasha, corn needs heat.
Yes, it depends, because here we're going to do like a dessert type of corn, but yes, corn needs heat. I was talking earlier about chaka, and winter is coming. And chaka is really like a stew that we do with corn and beans. So beans add the protein to the corn, and we put squash in it. So it's really like having a squash soup, and you put your corn, your kernel corn, even if it's canned, it doesn't lose its vitamin. So use that. Use the water of the corn also to do your stock, and it's really a nice dish with some habanero. You can adjust that, or Scotch bonnet. You can put that here on it.
Natasha, just a quick question, and we've got a few more minutes now before we start to the recipe. So this is really important. We're talking about corn, you're passionate about it, and it's resilient, and it's built into your community. But I've got a question here from Tamara. Tamara says, hello, Natasha. I understand you're from Haiti. In Haiti, do you use recipes where the corn is nixtamalized, such as recipes in Mexico? Do you know what nixtamalized means, Natasha?
No, but let me talk to you a little bit about more of the history of corn, and you will see. When we talk about corn from Mexico to Haiti, like the corn originated there because they first saw that corn was planted in Mexico 10,000 years ago. but the first finding they found it was 7,000 years ago. And us, when Christopher Columbus came to the Caribbean, when he went to Cuba, Jamaica, he found the corn also. But the recipe that I found with various research is the one we're going to make that from slight differences we would find. In Mexico, it's called atole. It's a drink from corn that they use, they drink in the morning and sometimes for supper. In Haiti, we call it akasa. And it's the same drink. We do it the same way. But now with the Caribbean being colonized, so we had the French who came, and now things become to get sweeter. We start adding molasses to that drink. We start adding white cane sugar. And then the French part of the Caribbean in Martinique, they start adding rum to it. In Jamaica also, they have the last slave. What occurs in Haiti when the slave just put the corn meal, not the corn flour, because corn flour was like an updated version of the corn, they start to put corn and water and wrap it in banana leaves, and that way they could travel with that. And when they arrive at their destination, cook it with water. And that's where the tamales started.
Wow.
From Mexico. So when we talk about food migration and all those recipes, it's the same thing that corn came from Native Americans and traveled back to Africa. They had corn back then. So food and migration, yes. So the recipes, they are like the same, but with slight variation between them.
Fabulous. Well, I think what I'd like to do, Natacha, is I think we probably need to move on with this recipe because we've probably got 30 minutes more to get this recipe cooked. Hopefully it only takes 20, like your method says. But because I'm really interested in some of the points you were making earlier when we were offline, which is the corn. Did you say it's good for diabetics, but it has got sugar in it? It's good for the diet, it's good for the digestion. How good is corn for us if we eat it, you know, in a balanced diet?
Okay, we have to think about corn. There's different variety of corn also. There's one who is very sweet, and that's the one, I don't quite remember the name, that I use for my dessert because I wanted more of that sweetness. But there's corn also that doesn't have very less sugar in it. So I think there's like 300 varieties of corn to use. Corn is very good, and that's why people use the cup. They drink it because it helps with cholesterol. In the kitchen, it does a nice talk because if you are doing corn chowder, why use water when you can just boil those corn? And it is used also as biofuel. And I remember back in the day, people used to light fire with the corn when they are very dry, when you dry them. And the flour is for cornbread, sweet or with salt. And there's different type, and the silk also is very good. Usually people don't eat the silk, but there's a way to do it. And I'm going to talk about that. You can just blanch it and fry it because it's really good for the digestive tract also. And I will use it as a powder for our dessert.
Okay. Well, everyone, I hope that you're sufficiently intrigued as to see what this recipe is based on the resilient ingredient that Natacha Gomez has chosen for us. A few questions coming in here before we start the recipe. Who is sending stuff in tomorrow? No, Elena. Before we get started, could you please clarify what sort of corn flour you are using? Okay, just a quick question. Natacha, what type of corn flour are you using? The type used to make American cornbread or the type used to make Mexican tortillas or something else? Thank you so much. I'm excited to learn more.
Okay, I'm using that one, and it's made in the US.
Is it cornmeal, is it?
Yes. This is not cornmeal. You can use cornmeal for that recipe also, but you will have to add more water because it's thicker. It will take longer to cook.
Okay.
And when it's set, it will be harder. But for plating, you maybe will have to cut those in square or any shape that you want, because cornmeal will be denser. And in cornmeal also, there's different grade in the cornmeal.
Okay. And there's a question from London Lime. London Lime, if you see here, this is the corn silk, which you're probably referring to, and I know is called corn silk. Now, yes, you can eat it. I chop it. First of all, I take it into corn silk and I put it into boiling water. And I just let it seep and cool, and then I drink it. And it's very hydrating. It's got huge amounts of properties. And I sometimes drop a little bit of olive oil into it, make a little olive oil and corn silk tea. You can put a tiny bit of chili into it. And corn silk is particularly good for you. Just quickly, Natasha, your point about lighting fires. I always dry my corn husks. Or light the bonfire or something with it.
Yeah, some people use the corn husk in the stock, but sometimes I find it very woody, so I don't use it really in corn. And corn is so much about resiliency and survival that I remember after the earthquake in 2010 in Haiti, we received some gift from USA, and the people didn't take it. Can you believe that? Because they say they will alter the corn they have in the Caribbean. They didn't take it. They didn't want the one that Mosento said it, because they want to preserve. Even when they were very poor, they didn't accept that gift and they burned it. So you don't mess with corn in the Caribbean culture.
Oh, wow. So the Haitians and the Caribbean, they did not want the American corn or the corn aid that was being sent to them, because you wanted to keep your own hybrid or your own heritage varieties of corn to keep you more resilient for the future, because otherwise you would have been flooded with the cheap corn. Is that right? Natasha?
Yes, I'm here. So we're going to start our recipe now.
Good. Okay. I'm following along. Natasha, you're the boss. I don't know if anyone else is going to follow along, but I tell you what, I've got all the ingredients. I've got some pots and pans. I've got a stove, and I'm your commie chef, Natasha. So please, let's go.
Okay, let's go. First, we're going to put the water in the pan. Remember, I say 2 cups.
Yep, I got it here.
Okay.
2 cups in. Can I just check, is anyone following along with us? Let me see this group chat thing here. Let me look down. I can see London Lime. I can see Claire, Will, Darren. Is anyone cooking along with us? Because if you are, please let me know, because I'll try and keep you involved and you can see what we're doing. But if you're not, then you're just going to watch a fabulous recipe. Keep going, Natasha. I've got my water in the pot.
Okay. Just put the water in the pot, and we talk about lime peel.
Got it?
If you want, you can do, if you don't have the lime, because in certain months you can find lime, but you can always find lemon. So we are using one, and usually it's better if you use it dry, and it dried very fast. So maybe one day before doing that recipe, you can just peel one and just put it. So we will put that in the water. What is important also that gives tons of flavor to our acasson is the star anise. Okay. So we're going to put that now.
Put that in. Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to use nutmeg. Nutmeg, we use it a lot in the Caribbean in our savory dish.
Arthur, there are 2 people following along. I don't know if you saw, there's Elana and Carla.
Okay, great. So we've got Carla, great, you're following along. Elana, you're following along. Fabulous. any time, any questions, please let us know. And what we'll do is, if you want to ask a question, as one of the participating chefs, just Tom, perhaps you can unmute the questioner, the questionnaire, or whatever we call them, because if you might be wanting to sort of get a sense of how your recipe's going. And Natasha is your chef, so I'm just going to shut up. Keep going, Natasha.
Okay, perfect. And now we're going to have the cinnamon.
Okay.
Or in French, we say cannelle.
Cannelle, yeah, cannelle.
And just a quick whisk.
Okay.
We're going to let that boil.
Wow, the lime smells amazing already.
Oh yeah. Okay. Prefer to use here so you can really see. Because the nutmeg and the cinnamon and the star anise, they all smell wonderful. Your house will smell beautiful after that. But first, while we wait for that to boil, we're going to use our raisin. And that's where the fun starts. Yes.
Carla, sorry, Natasha, what time is it there in New York?
It's 1 p.m. But warm is always good because you can have warm in your coffee. So there's no. We are in the Caribbean.
Good, that's fantastic.
Okay, so I said 1 tablespoon for the warm.
Very good. Put that into my, yeah, I've got that, my raisins. Good, good.
And I'm going to let it soak.
I let my lime water boil.
Yes.
Okay, just a little bit.
Okay, yours is already boiling?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to add the corn flour. Remember, it's 1 cup.
1 cup, yeah.
Sorry, half a cup. Because a little goes a long way, you will see that.
How are we doing there, Carla and Ilana? How are you getting along? Are you following? Okay, I'm adding my corn flour now.
Yes. And you will see, it will start to thicken really fast. So, is color okay? It's a little bit of a workout, but you have to. Remember also, I removed mine, but before adding in the recipe, before adding the cornmeal, you should remove the peel and the star anise, because we need to add our raisin soon, and you don't want to eat that instead of a raisin. They are the same color, so it's best to remove it. And if you didn't, now is the time to do it because you will see it. And we're going to add our milk now because it starts to really look like cornmeal.
Yeah.
We're going to add the milk. And you have to lower your heat also. Slowly adding the milk, and you will see it become loose also. We will use our coconut milk too, because nothing screams the Caribbean like coconut milk.
Right.
And it adds another sweetness to it. And when you cook cornmeal, you're supposed to add some kind of fat, and the fat in the coconut milk helps with that.
Mm.
When you use any type of cornmeal or corn flour, even if it's loose, after like 10 to 15 minutes, it will harden. So you can really be really imaginative with your plating with that. We're going to add the sugar now.
Okay.
After adding the sugar, if you taste it, you will see that it's not really sweet, but please don't add more because remember, we're going to add the fresh corn that is very sweet. And even if the fresh corn is not sweet, we're going to add the raisin. So that will add some sweetness again to it.
Okay.
Every dessert, really to enhance the flavor that we have, you should add a pinch of salt. That's what I'm adding now. Okay, and last, our vanilla extract.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we're going to turn the heat on low and we're going to cook our fresh corn. And here I'm going to use some oil with the butter that I have here, but we're going to use the butter to cook the fresh corn. I'm going to add some moringa oil.
I'm sorry, can I just ask a question?
Yes, please.
Should we still be cooking the cornmeal or should that be off of the heat?
Yes, you can put it off. Or if you want to have it really warm, you can just put it on low, very low.
Okay, thanks.
We're going to plate it. We want it to be a little stiff. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Now it's time to put your butter in the pan.
So now you're using moringa, Natasha. I don't know if it's in the ingredient list already, but you want to talk a little bit about moringa?
I use that. We're going to talk about moringa also, who is our Brazilian plant we have in the Caribbean, in America also. Moringa is one of the superfood. It's called the miracle tree, and it's very, very resilient because it can really bloom in hard soil and it doesn't interfere with other cultures. Okay, you're just going to cook it for a few minutes. It doesn't require a long cooking time because it's fresh. And
Where does this recipe come from, Natasha? Where did you find this recipe? How did you, who gave it to you? Did you make it up?
okay, that recipe, like what we just did, is the really authentic way to do acassin, or in French, they say crème de maïs. Maïs in French is that. and it's the way we usually have breakfast in the Caribbean, wherever you are in Mexico or Jamaica or Haiti, this is used, or Dominican Republic. This is used for breakfast or supper.
Okay.
Now, like I said, I'm all about tradition and modernity, and I say, why not use acassan as a base for a dessert? Like when you do crème pâtissière, use that as a cream base to do that dessert. But I have to say, in Martinique, they used to infuse raisin with the warm also to serve with the cream of corn.
Wow.
But here I'm going to add, like I said, for nutritional value, a pinch of moringa. Moringa is very easy to find now on the internet. It has a lot of nutrition, a lot of protein. It's like if you have a spoonful of moringa for the day, you don't have to take any vitamins for that day. So it's really wonderful.
And does moringa is also resilient? Does it grow wild in Haiti or the Caribbean?
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah.
They call it the miracle tree. It is so good.
Okay, fantastic. So we've got our base cooking out. That's all ready to go. And then we've got the corn cooking with the merengue. Are we looking to, I mean, I love eating this corn. I mean, I started eating it fresh. I mean, look, I take the corn cob, I just eat it. So sweet, so good. How long do we want to cook this for?
And we're going to do the plating. What I did, I used the corn silk. I blanched it and I fried it in some coconut oil.
Oh, wow.
Back the coconut flavor. And
you've got all the skills.
and we could do that with lime also, but I took some lemon peel and I candied that. So that again, we add our a little bit of sweetness, and that would enhance the brightness of the corn, having that little acidity touch.
Okay. We have a quick question, Natasha, from Keisha. Keisha, I'd ask you, Natasha, if you can't get fresh corn, is canned corn a good substitute?
Yes, it's very good. Canned corn is very good. You can use that. And for the vegetarian also, I did use cow milk, but it works wonderful with almond milk. And for the butter also, you can use some olive oil or coconut oil. And what is interesting in the corn cob again, I use it to do a jelly because we're not going to just throw those in the garbage. So use that for your corn stock and take some of the stock, put some sugar in it and some pectin, and you will have the cob jelly. So that we're going to use also.
Okay. Wow, lots of secrets here, Natasha, amazing. So corn is hugely versatile and very resilient.
Yes, very.
Okay. Okay, so my corn is cooking. Have we put the raisins into the corn now? What are we doing?
We're going to plate. We're going to plate it.
Okay.
We're not going to just add it. We're going to plate the acassan, put it in a bowl, and put the raisin and corn on top. So
okay. So we don't cook the corn. We don't cook the raisins with the corn. No.
No.
Okay.
Okay, I'm waiting for you.
Okay. I think everybody's. Did we put the rum in it? Elana, the rum went in to soak the raisins at the beginning. Maybe if you want to put a little bit of rum into the raisins now, but they won't have soaked up the rum very well.
It's okay if you don't put the rum. It will still be good. I wanted to present that as a dessert, but for breakfast, omit the worm, because this is a fun recipe for the whole family, and kids will enjoy that because it's really sweet, it's very good. It's like having oatmeal in a bowl.
Okay. Okay, is everybody almost up to speed? I'm ready to go, Natasha. Do you want to plate this?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So you show me what you're doing. You're just literally spooning it into the bowl.
Exactly, and you can see the texture also. If it's thicker than that, it's okay, because it will harden.
Ah.
It will harden.
You've got quite liquid. Okay, very interesting. How's everybody doing out there? Any more questions want to come in? We've got two people following along. Hopefully I'm doing the same thing. I think Natasha's is going to look amazing. I was just putting mine in a bowl. I feel very poor when it comes to doing this. Natasha, yours looks amazing.
Thank you. But I'm sure they all taste the same because that recipe is amazing.
Okay. It's going in the bowl.
Okay, now I'm going to put the corn on top, the corn and the raisin.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, I'm going to use a little bit of my corn silk.
Very, very interesting, Natasha. I've never really come across this type of recipe before. It's very interesting. Does anybody have any questions there? The rum, Ilana, if you haven't put the rum in already, I think it's probably now you just want to take a quick slug to say that you used it. I'm also,
See mine? Maybe I should move.
yeah, show us yours to the camera.
Okay. Let me know. How do you see it?
Oh, yes. Keep coming.
Okay.
Oh, wow. That's like restaurant quality. Mine looks more a little bit like breakfast porridge, you know, like the corn and the raisins with the cornmeal. I think this would be really good for breakfast, minus the rum, unless, of course, you're in the Caribbean.
It's very good.
Okay, so here we have a question for breakfast. Would this traditionally have non-rum soaked raisins and corn? Ilana, yes, I think for breakfast the rum would be taken out.
Yeah, taken out. I wanted to present that as a dessert. That's why I added the rum. I wanted to showcase the Caribbean more. That's why I added the rum as well, and to show the people some childhood food, some authentic food, something that you take for, like I say, for granted. Like it's so cheap. Also, it's a very cheap meal to do that can be restaurant quality like, and that you can present anywhere. So, how's the taste of it?
I see what you mean, because the recipe itself is not that sweet, but the corn and the raisins add a sweetness.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really good. This would be fantastic, you know, like you say, ready for the kids to go to school. Also, maybe when they come home from school, something a little bit more hearty to get them through into the evening.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
You have the calcium from the milk, you have the cow milk, you have the coconut milk, we have the nutrients from the corn, you have the raisin as a food, and the touch of moringa that we put, so you have the protein from that too. it's like a perfect way to start a day.
Perfect combination. Wow. Right. Okay. So this is the Chefs Manifesto Resilience Sessions. And the idea is that we're bringing you ingredients. Last week we had the bambara nuts from South Africa. This week, Natacha Gomez has brought us corn from the Caribbean and South America. And the idea is that we keep looking at resilient ingredients. And we will ultimately end up on the 21st of October with an open webinar session for the Chefs Manifesto where all 6 chefs, because there's going to be 6 of these sessions. Next week we're doing millet from India and why that's resilient. We're doing that with Anahita Doity. So then we will have had 3 fabulous chefs from 3 different continents, from South America, from South Africa to South America to India. We then have Connor Spacey from Ireland giving his resilient ingredients. And then we have Pierre Thiam talking about his fabulous ingredients from the west of Africa, Funio. So we have lots of different ingredients to show you and tell you about. So please keep connecting every Wednesday, 6 p.m. to these resilient sessions. And then on the 21st of October, we'll have all of these chefs come together to talk about their ingredients and the importance of resilience as chefs and people, and how we need to look at our local community, how food grows near us, and are we as a community of people resilient with food? But I do want to talk a little bit, Natacha, because I think it's very specialized. You're in New York, you're in the food industry. How have people been resilient at these difficult times? Because part of the resilience idea is we've got COVID-19 constantly putting pressure onto our food systems. People are also resilient in your community. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Natacha, before we finish off?
Oh, yes. Being in New York, it's like being a New Yorker. It's something because bouncing back from hardship, because New York was really hit big with COVID, and New York being like a food restaurant scene, it's really hard on New Yorker. Many people livelihood, it's based on the restaurant business in New York. And it's amazing the way New York wants to bounce back, the way people are getting together, the way chefs are collaborating also. And I'm really grateful to be part of Chef Manifesto at that time, because we need those initiatives. We need those type of collaboration to really move further and to bounce back. And I don't know when New York will be back to where it used to be, but I will say that the people, they're not taking that as a big setback. They're just working to move forward.
Now we hear from London Lime has said a little thing to us about brilliant, really good, and learned so much. Natacha, you've got some really great feedback from your recipe. It feels like just the beginning of understanding about corn, but also potentially about the resilience and ingredients. Ilana says it sounds wonderful. I think that anyone who's followed along, I hope you're happy with the recipe and you've learned something and you've got a new recipe for your repertoire. Natacha, before we sign off, with regards to food in your community, when you were growing up, how important were the resilient ingredients, the ingredients that really are the backbone of a community? And how important is that to you as a chef?
I would say being in the northern part of Haiti, people are really more conservative and they really keep their food culture, their history about culture. And growing up, most of the dishes, I didn't like them. But my parents, they say, you have to be really open-minded and you have to know about your culture. They always told me, and that kept with me. If you don't know where you came from, how do you know where you're going? And I think that developed, I started very early because my grandmother had a really big kitchen and I have my set of kitchen also in her kitchen. So I was always looking And I always repeating what she was doing and tasting also and asking about the herbs they were using, the spices. And that, I think that triggered, for me, my line of cooking is not about cooking the food, but knowing in what part, what region that food comes, who's planting the crops, can I meet them? That's why I'm part of different association of farmers in Haiti, because I try to help them. That's why I'm pushing the moringa also, because now Haiti is in the Caribbean, is the first producer of moringa, and the farmers are still looking for people to buy that moringa from them and to transform that. And yes, it's a big part, because when people don't forget about their culture, that's how you become resilient. That's how you don't lose your authenticity. Even if there's new ways to do agriculture, but I think going back in the days is way better, because in the Caribbean, eating organic and fresh is not a trend. It's an everyday life. It's part of our survival. And having a plant-based, mostly type of food, it's better also for people and the planet.
Natacha, you have been amazing. Thank you so, so much for giving us an insight into your culture, into your lifestyle, into your beliefs, and also into your resilient ingredient. I think it's been just wonderful. And looking down at all the comments, there's been so many thank yous from London Lime, from Elana to Carla. London Lime, I'm sorry we didn't get you the ingredients. We'll make sure we got it quicker next time. I need to put more pressure on the chefs to get us quicker. But it's been fabulous, Natacha. We're going to sign off now. It's been 45 minutes, but it's gone like a flash. Please, everybody, join us next week. And join us on the 21st. Natacha, I have to invite you. Will you join us on the 21st to be a part of our panel on resilient ingredients?
Yes, I will, definitely.
Fabulous. I want to come and give you a big hug, but you know, it's COVID-19 and you're in the But here's a physical hug, virtual hug. To everybody who's joined us, this has been the Chefs Manifesto Resilience Sessions, hosted by Omved Gardens. I want to say another big thank you to Natacha Gomez. Natacha, I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to give you the last word. And if everybody, if you could just hold on to finish on Natacha's last word, because we're going to roll another video to finish off the session. It's going to talk a little bit about one of our partners, the Sustainable Development Goal 2 Advocacy Hub, Good Food for All. A great little video to watch. Natacha, thank you so much. I say my goodbyes. You have the last word. See you soon.
Thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time to cook alongside with me. And by using authentic product, you help your farmers, you help your local economy. I want to say thank you also to Chef Manifesto, and continue to support us, continue to follow us also as a foodie, as a chef, because together we can achieve way more. And last thing, keep cooking with love. That's my word. Thank you.
Thank you, Natacha.